I'm Elex Michelson. This week, the issue is President Trump fighting back against the January 6th commission. Congressman Adam Schiff is standing by to talk about that and his new book, which takes us inside the impeachment fight. Then, the issue is politics and sports. Jon Gruden, no longer the head coach of Las Vegas Raiders, but what do his emails tell us about the culture in the NFL when it comes to race and sexual orientation? Sports journalist Arash Markazi is here to talk about that and the battle of California in baseball. The issue is starts right now.
Broadcasting across California, California's only statewide political show. You're watching The Issue Is.
He has betrayed our national security, and he will do so again. He has compromised our elections, and he will do so again. You will not change him. You cannot constrain him. He is who he is. Truth matters little to him. What's right matters even less, and decency matters not at all.
That was Congressman Adam Schiff during the first impeachment trial of Donald Trump. He's written a new book taking us inside that fight and the fight ahead. Welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Elex Michelson. Congressman Schiff says that even though Donald Trump is no longer president, the threat to the country remains. Here's that new book. It is titled Midnight in Washington: How We Almost Lost Our Democracy and Still Could. Congressman Schiff, welcome to The Issue Is, and congrats on the book being #1.
Thank you. No one could be more surprised than me.
Well, the book starts by talking about January 6th. And before we get into much of the specifics of the book, let's talk about the big news of this week. And it's related to January 6th. You're part of the January 6th Commission. We want to show some video up on the screen of some folks that you all have subpoenaed. These are former Trump White House officials. Steve Bannon is saying he is not going to answer your subpoena. And now you're saying that he should potentially face criminal charges because of it. What specifically do you mean by criminal contempt? Do you think that Steve Bannon should be arrested if he doesn't come and testify?
Steve Bannon was subpoenaed to come appear this week, produce documents. He didn't either. And you can't just simply say, well, I don't care to show up for a deposition. That's not how compulsory process works. What our chairman has decided to do, and I fully support the decision, is we're going to have a business meeting on Tuesday. We're going to take up a report that recommends holding him in criminal contempt. If it passes out of our committee, as I expect it will, it'll be taken up on the House floor. And if it passes there, as I expect it will be sent to the Justice Department. And the law provides that the Justice Department has a duty to then present it to the grand jury. So yes, if you refuse legal process, you could be prosecuted, and if that's what's necessary to get answers, then that's what we'll do.
Ultimately, meaning you think that if he doesn't testify, that he should go to jail?
That will ultimately be the judge's decision, what kind of penalty, what kind of remedy to compel his testimony. But yes, I think people that refuse their legal obligations ought to be fined or go to jail, whatever's necessary to get them to submit to the lawful orders of the Congress and the courts.
Are you concerned, though, about the precedent that might set for the future? Say the Republicans take over Congress and then they try to arrest you or Hunter Biden or Joe Biden or somebody else to try to get payback.
I'm more concerned, frankly, about the precedent of the last 4 years, where Trump official after Trump official just thumbed their nose at the Congress and knew there would be no repercussion for ignoring the law. Will Republicans abuse the power? Well, they have shown every interest and willingness in abusing power in any way. My guess is they will do that no matter what Democrats do responsibly. They will use power if they gain it to act irresponsibly, which is why we must make sure that Kevin McCarthy never goes near the Speaker's office.
In the book, you paint a picture of your experience on January 6th, and some GOP lawmakers were legitimately worried about your safety. We want to put this quote up on the screen. It says, "You can't let them see you," a Republican member said to me. "He's right," another Republican member said. "I know these people. I can talk to them. I can talk my way through them. You're in a whole different category." Was there a suggestion, essentially, if they see you, they're going to kill you?
Yes, I think it was very clear what they were suggesting. One of them was carrying a wooden post that still had a hand sanitizer affixed to it that he was going to use to protect himself from these rioters. So they too were worried about their safety. but they were more concerned that I was a target of this mob. And at first I was kind of touched by their evident concern. But then that feeling soon gave way to another, that if so many of them hadn't been pushing this big lie about the election, none of us would need to worry about our security.
You had warned that President Trump would try to cheat when it comes to the election, and your colleagues reminded you of that on January 6th. Here's another quote from the book. A lawmaker says, "You warned that he would try to cheat again." "It didn't require any great clairvoyance," I replied, and then I added, "Someone really should have impeached that son of a you-know-what." Of course, you were the impeachment manager.
If the truth doesn't matter, we're lost. The framers couldn't protect us from ourselves if right and truth don't matter. And you know that what he did was not right.
We know that Mitt Romney eventually voted for impeachment. He was the only Republican that did. As you were actually making those arguments, did you think that there would be enough Republicans to convict him, to remove him? Did you realize that a lot of this was political theater? Did you think there was anything you could have said that would change the result?
I knew going into the trial that we were very likely going to lose. My goal was to win over the jury of the American people if I could, knowing that getting Republican senators to vote to convict a president of their party would be enormously difficult. But I will say this about that argument you just played. To me, this was one of the core realizations of the trial in the last 4 years. When I was making those arguments about the president's lack of morality, the inability to tell right from wrong, I could see each senator's reaction. None of them, none of the Republicans, certainly none of the Democrats, none of them were shaking their heads. "Oh, no, that's not the Donald Trump we know. He would never do that." They understood exactly who we were dealing with. Yet they lacked the courage to fulfill their oath.
You write about the past, but you also write about the future. And when you look into the future, there's a real possibility that Kevin McCarthy of California becomes the next Speaker of the House. You write about the fact that you had an experience with him on a plane, and then he ended up lying entirely about your conversation to the press, and then basically suggesting to you, you know, that's the game, that's how it works. What does this country look like if Kevin McCarthy is Speaker of the House?
Well, it would look exactly like if Donald Trump were Speaker of the House, because effectively he would be. Kevin McCarthy is not going to stand up to Donald Trump in any way. That conversation that I spell out in the book, that was in 2010. That was years before Donald Trump. But in this respect, Kevin McCarthy was really made for a moment like this, when his party doesn't believe the truth really matters. They believe in alternate facts. They believe that truth isn't truth. You say whatever you need to say. You do whatever you need to do to capture power. And I realize there's a lot of cynicism about politics in the public, but that is not the way it is. That's not how most of us operate.
Don't you think that Donald Trump is the overwhelming favorite to be the Republican nominee for president next time, assuming that he runs? And Joe Biden's poll numbers right now are not very good. I mean, there's a real good chance that he wins again.
First of all, I'm certain that Donald Trump is going to run for president again. And I say that because I think he would find it intolerable if someone else got all that attention. If Nikki Haley or Mike Pence or DeSantis or any of these people were to be the Republican nominee, he would go out of his mind. So I think pathologically he cannot help but run. And at the moment, he has got such a grip on that party that I would certainly expect if he runs, he'll be the nominee. If he's the nominee, we are going to beat him because we have to, because the democracy will ride on it. And we will not survive another 4 years of Donald Trump and have a country with a democracy that looks anything like what it does today. In terms of President Biden's poll numbers, once we get these bills passed, which we will, and hopefully very soon, I think you'll see those numbers go back up. And once we get this pandemic under control, you'll also see those numbers rise.
And last question, I know you actually wrote this book yourself, which almost nobody in Washington actually does. It is your first book. When did you find the time, and how did you remember everything? Because I know you weren't like journaling every day.
Well, over the last 4 years, any number of folks, especially my colleagues, said, I hope you're writing this down. You really need to be writing this down. You're in the middle of history. And I would say, when do I possibly have the time to write any of this down? And then the pandemic hit, and I was confined to quarters like so many Americans. And I finally said to myself, if I'm ever going to write this down, I need to do it now, and I ought to do it while it's fresh. I thought I would just remember all these things, but I had to go back and do careful research and watch old interviews with you and with others to get back in the moment. And some of that was traumatic, but other parts of it were really inspiring once again to literally hear Alexander Vindman's voice again and to see Marie Yovanovitch stare down the President of the United States and testify when she was told not to. So those moments once again inspired me.
All right, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Really appreciate it. I know you're doing a million of these, but I know this is your favorite.
Absolutely. You be well. Thank you again.
All right, bye-bye. Up next, Arash Markazi joins us to break down some big sports scandals and a legendary series. We go to break with this beautiful image of Big Sur from the Above Los Angeles Instagram account. How stunning is the California coast?
I'm sad for the many people that have been negatively affected, anybody that was offended by this. There's a lot of families, there's a lot of things that go into this, and there's a lot of people that have been affected, and that's what I'm sad about.
That's Rams coach Sean McVay talking about former Raider coach Jon Gruden. Gruden leaving the job after private emails he sent years ago became public. In them, he made a series of racist and homophobic comments. Let's talk more about that with Arash Markazi, who is back with us in the house for the first time in a very long time. Arash, welcome back to The Issue Is.
Thanks for having us. Been a long time since I put this suit on, but it still fits, thankfully.
It looks good. Arash, of course, is a longtime sports journalist who worked for ESPN, the LA Times. He's currently the host of the Arash Markazi Show on the mightier 1090. We encourage you to listen to that. All right, Arash, so the Gruden story. What does this tell us, sort of bigger picture, about the culture in the NFL and the culture of the people that are running the NFL?
It gave us a peek, like when they're hiring people, when they're firing people, when you look at who they surround themselves with, when you look at professional sports, the number of women, minorities, is such a small number. And it begins to make sense when you look at how they're talking to each other and how comfortable that they are saying the words that they said. So listen, we could talk about Jon Gruden all we want. It's not just about Jon Gruden. They are comfortable throwing out these names. Again, the men who are talking to each other have been in professional football their entire lives.
And he had said some pretty nasty things about Michael Sam, who was the first openly gay person to be drafted in the NFL. Carl Nassib, the first openly gay person to play in the NFL in a regular season game, is on the Raiders. And then took a personal day to try to process all of this. How is he doing, and how does he fit into all of this?
He needed to take some time off, because when you are with a team, the coach is so revered. You call him coach, right? I mean, this is a man that you respect. This is a man that you trust. And to have that man that you respect and trust so much to say the things that he said, it really shined a light on why so many players do not want to come out, right? They're not comfortable doing that, because the conversations that we saw, and you could say it was 10 years ago, 11 years, it doesn't matter. Those conversations still happen today.
How has he been treated privately? What have you heard from the people you've talked to?
Listen, privately, I've heard he's been treated fantastically. But what happens when he's not in the room? We all wonder that. I think he wonders that. When he leaves the locker room, what is being said?
Yeah, I mean, it really is a much bigger story than just sports. It's the intersection of sports and politics and culture. And another story that's sort of that intersection is what's happening right now with Kyrie Irving, who is one of the best players in the league, plays for the Brooklyn Nets. He has not gotten vaccinated. Right now, not being allowed to play home games in New York. Here's what he said on Instagram.
It's about choosing what's best for you. You think I really want to lose money? You think I really want to give up on my dream to go after a championship? That's a dream come true. I've been working on that since I was in 4th grade. You think I want to give up my livelihood because of a mandate? Because I don't have accommodations? Because I'm unvaccinated? Come on.
What do you make of what Kyrie Irving has to say?
I'm going to preface this by saying Kyrie is one of the smartest players that I know. But in those
From a basketball IQ.
From a basketball IQ. But he went to Duke. He's a very intelligent man. But I'll tell you, some of the conversations I've had, he said, I think the earth is flat. I don't think there was a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I'm having this conversation with him a couple of years ago, and it went viral. And I'm like, does this man really believe what he says? And I watched that clip, and I'm wondering, what does he believe? Because I don't know what he believes. If he wants to be a voice for the voiceless, that's fine. He didn't really make a point. He has not been vaccinated. He's not like anti-vaccine. He's not pro-vaccine. I really don't know what Kyrie believes, and I don't even know if Kyrie knows what he believes.
It's been interesting the way that the players have reacted to the vaccine mandate. It's clear that there is still vaccine hesitancy, even among a lot of the players that got vaccinated.
100%. I mean, at the end of the day, look at the research, talk to the doctors. Every doctor you've had on the show says get the vaccine. But there is still a certain contingent who don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, look, LeBron James has been very vocal on a lot of things, said that he didn't want to be that vocal on this. If he would have taken a shot on camera, posted it to his 100 million plus Instagram followers, that could have potentially made a difference.
It would have been huge. None of these guys, though, wanted to be the face of the vaccine. You would have thought a team that was 100% vaccinated, LeBron James and Anthony Davis and all these guys, they really didn't want to touch the topic. Yes, we've been vaccinated. We're all good to go, but let's move on.
Right. All right. Well, up next, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about one of the greatest series in the history of California baseball, and preview the next big season of basketball. As we go to break, we fly above Staples Center with the Above Los Angeles Instagram account. Could that once again be the home to the next NBA champion?
And Flores, did he go? He did! And the game ends!
Well, did he? The controversial ending to the Dodgers-Giants game, that check swing, that wasn't. It sends LA to the next round, San Francisco on vacation. We are back now with Arash Markazi, sports journalist of the Arash Markazi Show. What a series, what a game, what a terrible ending.
It really was, and you had a great point. That took it away from the Dodgers. I know the Giants fans are so upset that that wasn't a check swing. You cheated us. Listen, it was a fantastic series. At the end of the day, Alex, they lost because they scored 10 runs during a 5-game series. So listen, I thought Max Scherzer should have had his moment. It should have been a swing in a mix. It should have been a pop fly, something like that. Dodger fans were robbed of that, but at the end of the day, I'll take this position over the position of losing the game.
Our friends watching in the Bay Area right now are like, boo-hoo, Dodger fans. We were robbed.
That's right.
And the bad part is now they can say that, whereas before, if Scherzer would have had a traditional strikeout, that wouldn't be the case as much. But it was a great series and a great season by the Giants. What an impressive team they are. The Dodgers, though, didn't stop them from celebrating last night. We've got some video of them having a good time all night long. What are the big challenges remaining for the Dodgers team?
I don't want to call it like a done deal, but that was their toughest challenge. The San Francisco Giants was their toughest challenge. I think they're going to repeat as champions.
We will see. Of course, that either way, they're either going to face the Houston Astros or the Boston Red Sox in the World Series, two teams that cheated against them when they were in the World Series. The Dodgers lost those World Series, so they would get a chance to avenge, but have to beat the Braves first. All right, we want to get some predictions quickly from you while you're here. So you just predicted that you think the Dodgers are going to repeat.
I think so. Listen, they've been the best team all year, and Max Scherzer is already a Dodgers legend, Elex. I mean, he is a legend. Not only on the mound, but the way he celebrates. That shirt comes off so fast. The champagne. He's having a good time.
He looks like a rush at a party. All right. So NBA Finals, because that's going to be a big year.
Continuing the homer trend here, Alex. The Lakers over the Brooklyn Nets, because even without our friend Kyrie Irving, I like Brooklyn to advance to the finals. But the Lakers were built to win this season. You can make all the jokes about how old they are. They were built to win this year. They will win this year.
Let's hope they don't get injured this year. And the Super Bowl, which is going to be here in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium.
Listen, Alex, last year we had the first time ever Tampa Bay playing a home game, continuing trifecta with the homerific picks. Rams over Chargers. 2 home teams playing in their home stadium. It's going to be fantastic.
You are really being bold on this one and not giving a lot of love to our friends watching the rest of the state of California. But that would be something. We don't know who's going to play in the Super Bowl. We do know who's going to play the Super Bowl halftime show.
That's
it's going to be quite a lineup. We got Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, Eminem all playing.
And you know the date of the Super Bowl? 213. It is such a perfect Los Angeles halftime show on February 13th, the 213.
Who do you think is the greatest all-time Super Bowl performer at the halftime show?
I'll never forget my first Super Bowl covering Prince singing Purple Rain while it was raining, Alex, in Miami. It was amazing.
Okay, well, I think Prince is the all-time greatest halftime performer, too, which is why I had this music ready to go.
And we did not talk about this.
We didn't talk about this ahead of time. So we go to break. Let's see you get crazy, Arash Markazi. Oh, those are the dance moves you get at the South Bay if you go out with Arash Markazi. All right. We'll end with a little bit of fun when we come back. Let's go, Arash. So I've never been to a political event quite like this before. What makes this different? What makes the Yang Gang different?
Well, a lot of people here are ready for a different kind of campaign, a different kind of candidate.
That was Andrew Yang's first interview on The Issue Is. Next week, he'll be in studio for the first time with us to talk about his new book, his new political party, and he may even teach me how to crowd surf. Plus, an exclusive debate between Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks on the left and Christian Walker on the right. He's the son of Herschel Walker. He's been going viral recently for fighting UCLA's vaccine mandate. Let's end by bringing our state together. Now that California has one baseball team left, the whole state can get behind them, right? I don't know about that, but I'm putting on my old, dirty, lucky Dodger hat that hasn't been washed in about 20 years. I do feel bad for the Giants on that last out, but I am proud of our boys in blue. And I want to end with this moment. It's especially fun. Dodger pitcher Max Scherzer running the bases in San Francisco after the win with his 2 young daughters. #GirlDad. And finally this, an image of what we hope will be the 2021 World Series champions. Thanks for watching The Issue Is. I'm Elex Michelson. I love LA.
Ain't nothing like 'em, no.